and nocturnal naturalists, it would seem. Nikki and Joseph pulled into the parking area, alongside 2 other police cars and a police van. They were met by PC Yvonne Collins, a real veteran on the force, and her young crewmate, PC Carl Adams. "What have we got, Vonnie?" asked Nikki. "Your sergeant was waxing lyrical about Shakespeare to me, and at 3 in the morning it sounded more like a dream than a crime scene." Yvonne tilted her head. "Well, maybe not so fanciful, ma'am. It's a first for me, and I've been in this job since the Bow Street Runners, or so Carl here keeps telling me." Nikki smiled. Yvonne had been given more extensions to the mandatory retirement age than she cared to remember. She was an old-school proper copper with an encyclopedic knowledge of Greenborough and its people, especially the villains, and when the time to hang up her boots finally arrived, Vonnie would be sorely missed. Nikki peered into the gloom. There were lights some 200 or 300 yards down the path. "We've got some emergency lighting down there, D.I. Galena. We've also cordoned off the area and set up a log. We were waiting for you, but we have already requested the pathologist." Yvonne pointed to one of the cars, "And over there are the 2 naturalists who found the bodies. We'll talk to them as soon as we've seen what we're dealing with, Vonnie. Right now, we'd better take a look. I think you should restrict access to this whole area. If it is murder, there might be evidence, and we don't want half the station trampling all over it." Nikki nodded to Joseph, and they set off down the ink-black path. Joseph produced a flashlight and lit up the track. "Ready?" he asked softly. "As ever." Nikki tried to sound casual. After all, they'd seen enough dead bodies in their time. But seeing dead youngsters was something else. Maybe it was the fact that her own daughter had died when only a teenager. Maybe it was just the enormous waste of a young life terminated in this way. Whatever the reason, she struggled with teenage deaths. She was thankful that it was Joseph by her side. He knew. "I'm okay," she whispered. It was approximately 3:45, and, for early May, quite chilly. It would be another hour and a half before sunrise, and scenes like this always looked more dramatic at night in the harsh, artificial light of halogen lamps. The wood smelled of damp grass and leaf mould, and there was a hint of salty ozone as a breeze blew in off the wash. It was strangely silent. Where were the owls, the badgers, and all the wildlife that the nocturnal naturalists were supposed to be observing? All she could hear was the muffled voices of the officers manning the cordon ahead of them. Her chest fluttering, Nikki approached. They didn't need to cross the blue and white tape, nor did they need the waiting police officers to offer an explanation. The path ended in a clearing in the wood, where, in stark relief against the night-enshrouded trees, 2 figures were lying side by side on a blanket. They looked peaceful. The dark-haired girl lay on her back, her clothes undisturbed, while the young man was on his side, his arm draped protectively across her waist. "They look like they're sleeping," whispered Nikki. For a moment she couldn't understand what foul play had been suggested. She looked closer, a detective now rather than a mere spectator. "They've been placed there, haven't they? Arranged to look like that." Joseph nodded. "I'd say so, especially when you look at that." He pointed towards a single red rose in the young man's hand. "Pure theatre." Nikki bent down. The scene wasn't quite as peaceful as it had first appeared. A clenched fist, some dark stains on the front of the girl's blouse. Their expressions? No, this was not what it seemed. "Our pathologist is going to love this," she said to Joseph. "Without a doubt," he said. "You do know that we'll probably be subjected to a one-man performance of several acts of the play, don't you?" He lowered his voice. 10 quid says we are greeted with what light through yonder window breaks. Nikki groaned. "I can hardly wait. And I'm not wasting my money betting against a cert. We both know what dear Rory is like." They laughed, but they both respected the sharp brain and forensic skills that underlay Professor Rory Wilkinson's camp black humour. Still, he did love a good drama. "Who was first on the scene?" Nikki called across.